Um, First, I guess I'll introduce myself. I'm Bardia. I'm a support engineer manager here at Replit. And today's session, I'm going to go over two features and I guess somewhat of a third. The title of this session is a bit misleading, but we're going to be talking about how to authenticate and authorize users and do file persistence using two of our own like homegrown features, Replit DB or Replit database and Repl Auth. And so, yes, this is really cool. People from all around North America, and I'm sure the rest of the world as well are here. So I'm going to share my screen in just a second. So I will give a quick rundown of like what we're going to do. We're first going to go over Replit DB. I hope you are all familiar with Python because the demo will be in Python, but you can use Replit DB with any REPL. And then we'll go over Replit Auth or Repl Auth, sorry, and we'll show you how that works. And then I will be sharing some resources at the end as well for everyone, like some examples and templates that they can use for their own students and for yourself. So I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, I should turn on closed captions. Sorry about that. I'm going to share my screen right now. And so the first thing we're going to want to do is, we're going to go over Replit DB first. And you can use any REPL because every REPL comes with a database, and the database is just a key value store. But we're going to use Python because a lot of students use Python. It's the most popular language on our website. And we actually have a special client library for Replit DB that allows users to actually use the Replit DB as if it was a local Python dictionary rather than making asynchronous calls to an external database. So the main reason we're building this, or we have this functionality, is because newer programmers, learners, they often need to store data for and access it for certain programs that they're creating. But using a full-blown DB, even something like SQLite, can cause a lot of problems for beginners because they might have to learn SQL or they have to use some library on top of SQL to use it. So it can get complicated pretty quickly. And if they're using some other service that hosts their DB, then they have to use HTTP and learn how to make requests and handle responses. So it's a lot of stuff that we don't want users or learners to actually have issues with when they're just trying to write a simple program that stores their data and keeps it there and doesn't delete it at the end of the program, at the end of the program. So the first thing we want to do is just open up this database tab here in the left. And you can see here, we actually have all the different commands that we can actually run here. And they're for Python, like these have been specifically made for Python, but you can also, we have client libraries in JavaScript. And we also have a client library in Go. The Go one is also pretty well formatted. It's like idiomatic, but the JavaScript one is like a very simple wrapper around the HTTP endpoint. And so so if everyone in this section wants to actually create their own Python REPL right now, that would be great. And we can just go through this together and follow along with the examples on how to do that. And McKinley, thank you for co-hosting while I wait for everyone to make their REPLs. If you guys have any questions, please ask them in the chat. And McKinley, if you can relate them while we're going through this demo, that would be awesome. Sweet. So I am going to assume that most of you have the REPL setup. So we can just go through it now. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, as like here, we're going to import the database, and you can just press insert here, so it's easy. And then let's set a key to a value. So like, let's just say key 1 equals key or value 1. And then let's run this program. And obviously it's not going to return anything because we're not printing anything. But let's print out db at key 1. And you see it's stored the value there. We can also get a value, and we can do this in 2 different ways. So like or I guess we did it in one way, but I can show you the other way of doing it. So you can also do db.get and then provide the key like that. And you should see it printed twice now. And then if you want to set your values, you can use any type of data. We just stringify it in the backend. So you could set, for example, db integer 1 equals 1. And then that will work. So if I do print db at integer 1, run, we'll get that there too. Oh, the screen is small. Can I increase the size? Yes. Is this better? And I'm going to hide this so it's easier. Okay. So you can just print like that. We can even store other types of data that you normally wouldn't think that you could store like this, but we could store, for example, a dictionary. So you can do my dictionary, and you could store, for example, key valet, key LP, and you can still get the dict. So very flexible. You could even set 2D arrays. You can set any like Python type or any type you could set. It just gets stringified. So you could even mutate numbers here. So if I did like db integer 1 plus equals 2, and then I try to print it again here, you're going to see that it's going to change. So it's going to be 3 here. Does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay. All right, let's keep going then. So we can also use db.keys to get all the keys in the database. And that's super easy. Oh, I forgot to print it. And yeah, you can see all the different keys. And then we can also use prefix. And this function, what it'll do is basically whatever prefix you provide, it'll provide all the keys that begin with that prefix. So like in this case, we can use my. We have 1 here that has my, and we can see that any db value with my will show up. So we'll get here, we'll get this one. Will this db be accessible in other Replit projects? Can you clarify that question? I'm just waiting for the user to, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, someone had a request. I accidentally exited out. Okay, yep. What's up?
Sitting at the desk, smiling. Also put out a video. They said that he had called various lawmakers.
Okay, I think this was an accident. Okay. Yeah, so every REPL has one of these databases. It's just that we have client libraries for only 3 types. So any Python, any JavaScript, Node.js project, and Go. And they will be available, like client libraries are available there. Otherwise, it's just like an HTTP GET or post request or put or delete request, and they all it's using a secret that's being stored an environment variable with the Replit DB URL. So you can call your code, call your database from anything that any code that you have, basically, and you'll be able to access it as long as you have the DB URL, which is provided in the REPL you're in as a environment variable. Otherwise, in the resources I'm going to share, there's a way to actually create like a proxy DB, which would then serve as a shared database that other REPLs could access as well. Sorry, ZXCA Swer. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but if you can post your question in the chat, I can get to it. Cool. So this is Replit DB. You can create anything you want with it as long as you fall within the limits of our storage, which I think is, if I'm not mistaken, 5,000 keys. Let me just grab the numbers quickly so I don't give you guys wrong information. Yeah, 5,000 keys, 50 megabytes per database, 1,000 bytes per key, and 5 megabytes per value. So that's RepLDB, and now I'm going to show you guys Replit or Repl Auth. And to do that, we're going to create a new REPL. Or actually, we can continue with the same REPL if you guys don't mind. So what we're going to want to do now is let's just comment out all this, and we don't need DB right now, and we can just comment that out. And we can just continue with this file. So what we're going to do is first we're going to use Flask because we need a backend to show to handle the rendering of the templates, like to show dynamic HTML. We could use JavaScript. You can use any backend language to run your server from, and Repl Auth will work. Repl Auth just consists of a script, and that script has an auth callback function to run whenever the user has been authenticated, and it also offers like a button for the user to press. So that's all it is a script that offers a button and a callback function to run with that button. To give you all an idea of what Replit Auth actually is, though, is it's a really easy way for anyone to authenticate users who have Replit already. So any Replit user, the same way Google Auth works, where any Google user, if you have an account with Google, you can sign into many different sites. Except with Repl Auth, it's actually even easier to set up than Google authentication. There's almost no configuration required. You don't really have to write any authentication logic other than getting like running the callback function when the user is authenticated. And the other cool thing is like you don't have to store any passwords. So this helps with users or learners who they often want to have users for their apps or create things that has users, but securely storing passwords is a very big problem, and we don't want learners to accidentally leak passwords or use code that's not secure. So this provides all of that out of the box, and you don't need to store any passwords. So yeah, let's get to building this thing, and it'll be really quick actually. So the first thing is just doing that. We have imports from Flask, and then we're going to want to create a Flask server, and let's call it app, and then we're going to create a route here, and this decorator function is just so that if you reach this route, then it's going to run this function. And we are going to actually return a template. And so what this render template function is doing is going to render a template based on a file path in the templates folder. So this is like kind of some magic that it does. So we're gonna just do this for now. And then we're going to go into our files and we're going to create a new folder called templates. And then we're going to add a file here called index.html. And I am going to quickly copy over some code here. And we're just going to finish this. So right now we just have this and we're just going to say hello world, just to test to see if this works. And we haven't introduced any auth yet. And I hope everyone is following along here. So that should have run. Oh, sorry, I forgot to actually run the app. So we got to do app.run, and then we're going to set the host to standard, and then port 80. So let's see. All right, cool. So we have something rendering here. So to add our auth here, the first thing we're going to want to do is I'm going to paste some code here, or actually I'll type it out so that you can all follow along. So we're going to add a div, and you have to. Normally you just add scripts, but with this specific script, we're going to just add both. So auth, the function that's going to run here is just going to be a location reload. So we're just going to reload the location, and the source for this file is https auth.util.repl.co/script.js, and I will just paste this code snippet into the chat. Oh, sorry. I will also throw in that app run command into the chat as well. 1 second. So the app run command here is just this. And inside here, we have, if we just stop and start our REPL again, you should see this login with Replit button. And if I click here, what it's going to do is it's going to ask me like who I am. Should we let the app know who I am? And if you click authorize, it's going to share your name, roles, and ID. So we don't have any, we just choose a default of just names, role, and ID. There's nothing else that gets shared with the app that you're using. And those are provided via headers. So HTTP headers will be the way that we're going to access these values. So I'm not going to authorize myself right now because that's going to do nothing, because we don't actually have any logic here to show the user their own information or notify them that they're logged in at all. So the way we're going to do that is using the templating function here. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set some variables in this template that we can use inside our HTTP. So we can do request.headers, and then the headers for Replit auth is Replit user ID. Sorry. Let me just close this out so you guys can see more easily. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this and keep reusing the same one and just changing the values because it's going to be a lot easier this way. So if you just do this and change the username and you change it to roles and you change here to your name. So these variables will now be available to you. And if you save, we have auto formatting. But But yeah, if you just go back to your template now, you will have access to these variables. And all you need to do here is use the built-in templating language. So if I want to start using this, you do, %, and then if user ID, then we're going to put another % here. We're going to show a div with hello, and then the user name. And then we're also going to write here, you have the following roles, and just put in here roles. And then else we want to show just hello world. And we also want to show this script here, because we don't want to actually show this login with Replit button after the user is logged in. So if user ID is basically the gating that we're doing on the front end to see if the user has been authed, and we're running this all just in line in the HTML. And then we need to end the if here. Sorry. Okay. So now that we have this, what we're going to see is, once we refresh the page, I'm going to click login with Replit. I'm going to authorize. I'm going to come back here, and now we have our logged in view. So it's just that easy. All you need to have is some logic of what you show when someone's logged in versus logged out. Otherwise, when the user is authenticated, it's just going to refresh the page based on this code here. You can also set it to redirect somewhere else if you want. And then based on that, you have access to all of these headers, which you can then set in your code to these variables, which you can then use in your templates. And that's just for Python. Otherwise, you can use any language to use Repl Auth. It works with the web. And something that I didn't go over today, which is a bit more complicated, is Replit Web, and it's a Python library that combines Replit DB and Auth, so that you can actually use both of them together, so that you can have specific permissions for different parts of your app for different information. Anyways, I am done here. What language did you type inline into the HTML? This syntax is actually Jinja 2. I think it's the templating. Yeah, that's what it is. Jinja. So that's Jinja templating. Okay, yeah. Let me just quickly share with you guys as well we have a doc here that I'm just trying to find quickly. I don't know where I put it. Okay, there it is. Okay, I found it. Let me make sure it's shared with everyone. Okay. So this one has some more documentation, and it'll link out to everything useful here that I've gone over, and other stuff as well. So I just shared that with the chat. We have a little bit of time left over, so if anyone wants to ask more questions, or if they have comments, concerns, feedback, I would love to hear it. No? Oh, someone just asked, can you store more than one dictionary? If you create a DB in one project and a different DB in another project, are they separate? So you can nest dictionaries in a single Replit DB, and every REPL has its own Replit DB. And if you create a DB in another project, it will be separate. And the only way that you could access someone else's DB or another REPL's DB is to use the Replit database URL. So if I just echo here in the shell, I think it's just Replit DB URL. Yeah, so this is actually the link to your REPL or REPL DB. So if you want to, if someone's making a curl request or any kind of request to this address, is like that's how they're going to do it. So if I go here, you're going to see nothing. But if I were to do like curl, for example, let me see, what do we have in here even? Have key one. So if I do curl and then DB URL, and then I just do slash key one, you'll get the value there. So if let's just say I opened up, let me open up like this one here. So if I did this if I did this from the shell, this curl request, but I did it to this, if I just, let me copy the value here. If I did curl, and then I did the slash key, oh, that's supposed to get it, but it didn't work. I'm not sure if that didn't work. Oh, key one, sorry. Yeah, so you get the value. So you can call on other databases. And I provided here in this REPL that I shared was just one doc. We have a Flask Replit DB proxy that you can use, and that will let you do that from a template. Cool. So we're almost done here. Let me just read through the chat. Can you share a link to this project? This one here. Let me just rename it, and yeah, Repl Auth DB example. And I'm going to put this here in the chat, and I'm also going to put it in the other doc here. So session example. Cool. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. I know there's another presentation right now, and I don't want you all to miss anything. So please enjoy the stage where Mitch, I actually don't know how to pronounce his last name. It might be Kapoor or Kapor, but he's a legendary Silicon Valley figure. I hope you all enjoy his presentation. So see you there.